We're live. This is Rich Lieberman. Sorry, I'm a little late today. It's a Wednesday. It is around the middle of February, and I'm reacting to a lot of news with regards to Anderson Cooper abruptly splitting from CBS News. And this is not your just run of the mill transaction. This is quite significant. Now, I go back and forth on Cooper. I really like him. I think he's very, very interesting. I think he does a really good job, particularly for CNN. Let's face it, a lot of people, frankly, don't watch CNN a lot because what's there to watch? They've got a few interesting programs, but not much. Cooper is their easily most significant personality, news person, etc. Um, the latest news that he's going to stay at CNN and vacate 60 Minutes, that's not good news, folks, for CBS. And CBS is just making one blunder after another. CBS News used to be the hallmark of the network, had one of the most popular, in fact, one point, the most popular news program was its most popular overall program. I'm talking, of course, about 60 Minutes. Of course, 60 Minutes ratings have gone down. It still remains one of the more viable programs that the I network has. The numbers aren't what they used to be, but nothing isn't what it used to be. Anderson Cooper made CBS 60 Minutes. He brought a new segment of viewers to its program. And let's face it, 60 Minutes has never been a blockbuster because of the fact that the younger demo has never gravitated towards watching it. And, years ago, used to dominate the entire entertainment lineup, the news lineup, et cetera, but it always suffered in terms of demo. It skewed towards older viewers. While that's, hardly death knell, it obviously is not the more pristine type of demographic that CBS News would like it to have. Again, great program, usually in the top 10, sometimes the top 5, sometimes the perennial top program. That's years and years been eclipsed by various programming. Of course, NBC has that distinction with Sunday Night Football. Nevertheless, 60 Minutes progressed and was able to readapt and retweak. And one of those retweaking had to do with the hiring of Anderson Cooper. God, I can't imagine. I forget that he been there for 20 years. It's a long time. And he did bring a distinctive younger audience to the program, which it needed badly. I'm not saying that Anderson Cooper is any, nirvana, but interesting program, gets interesting, producer and writer and talent. And that's what Cooper delivered on. He's clearly not happy, and he's not the only one, in the direction of CBS News. CBS News used to be the hallmark entity of the entire network. BlackRock was, in some ways, at the forefront of programming, a lot of it due to its news programs. There was a time years ago, and many of you know this, that news at CBS had its own distinctive kind of foray. And there was a time when the news ratings were independent of entertainment, which enabled it to become the force that it became. That's long ago has passed. And And one of the programs, like a 60 Minutes, had its own guiding ship. Didn't have to rely upon the entertainment end of BlackRock to be successful, although it was and is. You remember post Cronkite, there was Scott Pelley. Not a most exciting kind of a news anchor, but anyway, he became the evening anchor at CBS News. Steady, if not spectacular. Nevertheless, as his ratings began to erode, and you could say that for mostly all the programs at all the other networks, but most vividly at CBS News. Then they started hiring. Anyway, Pelly ended up having to go. They brought in Nora O'Donnell. Disaster. And she had to go. Now, frankly, there are people there I've never heard of. You combine that with a new news CEO, a woman who is up to her head. I don't have to mention her name because you don't know, most of you don't know her name. You don't care about her name. It's a very troubling sign for the network. And they've got lots of troubles. Lots. Haven't even mentioned the latest brouhaha having to do with the FCC and Stephen Colbert. And Stephen Colbert's program, as most of you know, will end come May. That's long ago been decided. And the issues surrounding Colbert have intensified of late. He had this issue with this Texas lawmaker, senator, or guy who's running for Senate, that CBS didn't want him being Colbert, to have on. And this has turned into a big brouhaha. This, mind you, doesn't have anything to do with Anderson Cooper leaving 60 Minutes. Yet, it's just one of the many problems that confound BlackRock. And Paramount is trying to buy the entire division. Good luck with that. So, is Anderson Cooper the main deal at CBS? No, but he's a significant part of their profit margin. As I've indicated, he tends to skew more educated viewers, more younger viewers. I've said repeatedly, he's not the cause of let's start having parades and, live happily ever after. But his personality, all of the elements that he brings to a network that is troubling. And now he's gone. And really, when you look at it, and I watched it the other day, 60 Minutes doesn't have the kind of vitality that it once had. But there are a lot of programs, not just on CBS, other networks, that don't have the degree of move the needle type of content. But it's especially evident at CBS, which, as we all know, is now part of this desire to be purchased. And that will only add to the problems. His decision, and it was at the last minute, not to renew. And he was making a lot of money for such a small role. He had a very pivotal role at 60 Minutes. And now that is kaput. What to do? Well, they're too big to fail. They're one of those companies, is CBS, too big to fail. And they still have football, NFL football. They still have programming, although, like other network programming, it's declined significantly. Revenues are down because the advertisers understand the fact that many people are now watching programming via their phones, going to streaming sites so they can see in what in their mind is clearly superior programming. So the traditional networks are having to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, to try to bring upon new talent, offer new programming. That's very expensive. You just can't put on a glop. People will get that. So Anderson Cooper is the latest blunder. CBS and their new programming news czar. I'm sure that's not what she perceived. They have to tweak, and they have to tweak not only abundantly at programming and news and sports, not so much, but still, they have to reinvent the wheel themselves because people are migrating away. Again, not just CBS. CBS is not as multifaceted in terms of other industries like an NBC, like an ABC, of course, Fox. But the Cooper decision to vacate 60 Minutes is significant because he is a dominant personality. He brings to the table lots of tangible assets. Those assets are directly skewed towards viewership and advertisers. And bottom line, yeah, money. No longer the case. So Anderson Cooper, it's good news for CNN, not such great news for CBS, and most particularly 60 Minutes. Hey, look, it's Wednesday. I'm Rich Lieberman. Please become a member of my YouTube show. Just click on the fact that you follow me. I will personally thank you. You can watch me pretty much every day, whether it's live, whether it's when you are not working or doing whatever you do. You can watch my podcast, which is exciting and vigorous. I have guests, I have information, I have entertainment, I have all of the above. Again, like me, follow me here on YouTube. If you can, make a donation. Nothing is too small. If you want to email me, rich.lieberman@gmail.com. You can also text me, 415-999-4454. 415-999-4454. But the big news, Anderson Cooper leaving 60 Minutes. May not sound like much, but boy, is it a lot. Stay by your YouTube. We will probably be back later today. If not, we will see you in the morning. Thanks for watching.